The question is, shall we proceed? The answer is yes. Thank you guys for your feedback. 95% of you said yes, we want to continue these monthly updates, and so I will for 3 more months. But I want you to engage. I want you to drop in. I want you to share. Now, amongst the 3 P's, there is one P that some subsection of you are a little bit less comfortable with. Can you guess which one it is? It's the personal. So I want to take you on a journey this week, sorry about that, through the 3 P's, because I believe you cannot have one without the other 2. That we are necessarily, as human beings, an integration of the 3, and our strength lies in that integration. Here's what I mean. This month, I ran my first trail marathon of the year in Utah, and it was one of the most staggeringly beautiful courses I have ever run. But I left with a nagging foot injury, and I knew I was not going to be able to run for the next couple weeks. And so I was faced with a choice. Do I lay on the couch, eat too much, get out of shape, and say, oh, woe is me? Or do I look to my left, recognize that I have a bicycle, and decide to start pedaling? Well, in the first 35 and a half years of my life, I rode to the top of Independence Pass exactly 0 times. And in the last week, I've done it twice. And that experience was wonderful. Not only did I exercise my body in a different way, but my relationship to my backyard changed. Going up the hill at 2 miles an hour, I saw parts of our history and antiquity that I had never noticed before. My relationship to the physical and natural world changed. My understanding and empathy for the interaction between drivers and motorcyclists and bikers shifted. There was an opportunity that the universe presented me that I had no intention of finding, that I didn't even want, but was exactly what I needed. So here's the integration. How does that personal experience translate into my professional and political experience? Well, this mindset created in that experience influences how I act in the political and professional space. Specifically, when I look at the toxicity of our political environment, I'm forced to ask different questions than most would ask. I think we can all agree that our politics are toxic and getting worse. Most people look at that and say, either we need a shift in policy or we need a shift in leadership, that one of those should change. I see this differently. My experience since 2008 is that there are a ton of brilliant, well-intentioned people trying to make change in this space, and yet they fail over and over again. Our approach has been, let's take that same athlete with the injured foot and put them in the race over and over and wonder why they keep failing. The questions that I ask are different. Could there be something wrong with our shoes? Might it have to do with the course? Perhaps it's been 30 degrees and snowing during these efforts, right? What are the systemic environmental conditions that are causing good people to fail? And can we work on that? Can we work at the soil level rather than the flower level? Because no matter how great those seeds are, if we keep putting them into toxic soil, the flowers are never going to bloom. And with that, we transition to the professional. The Elected Leaders Collective is a company whose mission is to heal our politics from the inside out. As leaders, we have this story that if we just have a good idea and say it enough, it will manifest change. The reality is we get into office and all of a sudden our time is not ours. People are in our face at the grocery store, at church, with our kids. If you are a change maker, very often you are fought internally in your organization by your colleagues, let alone the oppositional party. Your name is in the newspaper or the internet in uncomfortable ways, and many people receive death threats to themselves and their families. And the results are predictable: overwhelm, depression, anxiety, fear, and the most tragic, falling out of love with the community that you intended to serve. So we are here to provide the internal resourcing to leaders so that rather than doing what they traditionally do, which is drop out and burn out and leave us with a distillation of only those people who are adapted for that toxicity to make our laws, to be able to stand tall in that hurricane. And with a group of other heart-centered leaders they are now connected with, start to dissipate that storm, change that weather pattern, and eventually leave us with the world they intended. This was a big month for us. We got our first 50K commit on investment to launch a Halo program, which would be a 1-year intensive, 12 modules of self-development with some of the best experts, coaches, programs of human development anywhere in the world to have the most meaningful experience of their life. And having been selected as rising stars from across the country critically, what we do is flip the script that working on your mental health, working on your own wellness is no longer a liability, it is a strength. It is something that you don't hide from or are ashamed of, but rather than something that everyone needs to do if they want to keep up with the real leaders who are changing this world. And we began to form our first Pride cohort, which will launch in July. It is 8 to 12 hand-selected leaders from across the country, geographically diverse but experientially similar, who meet once per month in a 90-minute intensive with a transformational coach, where we get entirely outside of the politics, the party, the partisanship, and we drop in to the internal, the relational, and the transformational in a safe environment with people who get us, and leave with our cups filled. That's the journey that I've been on for the better part of 15 years. And as a result, I am a fundamentally different leader today than I was even 6 months ago, let alone 6 years ago, and will be 6 months from now with the continued application of this work. So let's finish this journey of integration, talk about the political, and I can point out where the work that I've done internally and professionally influences how I show up politically as a result for you. Food trucks are finally coming to Aspen. We have greenlit a pilot program to have at least one, if not more than one, food truck down at Rio Grande this summer. And through the EOTC, there is already a food truck out at the Intercept lot, Brush Creek Park and Ride, for this summer. The food truck is a solution that says the existing paradigm of free market commercial structures delivering affordable foods and goods cannot work anymore. In fact, it's going to get worse and worse over time. So let's pivot to a different structure that can deliver the outcome we want in a different paradigm. This is saying we're not going to run the race anymore because our foot hurts. We are going to get on a bike because ultimately what we want is to get from here to here. And if I can't use my feet, then why wouldn't I try a bike? We are on a very fast road to zero local and locally serving businesses left, and anyone who has been paying attention for the last 30 years could have easily figured out that we were going to end up there. So why don't we do what communities and cities all over the world have done? The proven equation of take publicly owned land that has no cost, subdivide it into micro areas to empower local solo entrepreneurs, family businesses, etc., to operate low rent and low employee burdened businesses to allow for affordable goods and foods in the core of our community. And you know where I'm going with this, because I think there is no better resource of publicly available space than the streets. And I love cars. Y'all know that, right? Like, I like to race them. Like, I love cars. It's not what we should be doing with the most scarce resource of almost any community in the world, is parking cars. We need to reclaim our streets for the things we say we want. community, affordable business. Imagine a row of small Victorian shacks down the middle of a grassed-in street, a place where you can get affordable and awesome things, where you gather and where you necessarily have the intersection between people who want to shop at Prada and people who want an affordable t-shirt that is locally made. And yes, there may be some crossover, but these are not the same customer. No one's deciding, do I want a $5 burrito or an $85 steak? We can have and we should have both. We need to have the possibility mindset, not the scarcity mindset that has held us back. I so value our time together. Next month, updates on APCHA, the moratorium, the housing crisis, and probably a whole bunch more. Have a beautiful, beautiful month. Bye for now.